You were just
Oh
telling me
boy.
a tale, one might
Oh
say.
dude.
A
Oh my god.
tale of the Shire.
So say it's okay. Tale of the Shire. If you know anything about me, you know I like cozy farming
Mhm.
life simulator games. Those are like my cup of tea. I've been in the trenches for this like genre of games since I was like really young before like these games weren't popular, right? I've been there. Like I've been like these have always been my like thing. So I always play them. But so you can also assume that I know a lot about how the genre should work, right?
Mhm.
Which is this game, right? I'm also a big Lord of the Rings fan.
Massive Lord of the Rings fan.
So
You are
there's also
our you're our
so there's
Tolkien.
also there's also that. So the cool thing is at least is like the lore here is awesome. Like it makes sense.
Mhm.
The hobbits are annoying. They're really British. They're really stubborn. They like to eat food. They are like they don't lie intentionally. They're kind of like really vague about things and like they make you kind of like work for like a conversation, right? So it's like
Mhm.
it's really fun, just like very stereotypical like British people. That's it. So like it fits like it's that, right? It's very lazy, laid back fun. But then you have the video game aspect, which is like on one hand you have the food things like this, right? So kind of like the core cycle of the game is like there's you're kind of trying to like help just like bring this town back and like there's a warden that you have to like appease, kind of like meet these like checkpoints and stuff. And the way you do that is you have to become friends with people. Basically, like there's different people. Like this guy works at this shop, and this guy works at this guy is a hunter or whatever. And you have to like befriend people and kind of come together and like make your community better. Cool, right? Um, so the way that it works essentially is you talk to people, you go on like a quest, and the way a quest works essentially is just walking from person to person,
Mhm.
and it's like I was saying with the British thing, right? Where it's like very lazy, very like they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I think this person has it," and you're like, "Okay, I'll go talk to them," and then they're like, "Oh yeah, I think this person has it." And you go talk to that person, and they're like, "Oh, I think this person might have it." And you go talk to that person, and then it's like, "Well, the person you just talked to actually has it," so you got to go back, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, I did have it, but I actually did give it to this person." So it's like contextually, lore wise, it makes sense, right? It's
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
that's just kind of how it would be. But so you do that, you complete a quest, then you kind of like unlock a different thing, right? So the kind of like the main thing you're unlocking is your house. So your Hobbit home is kind of like disheveled. There's like broken like fences and stuff, and like you're just trying to like rebuild it so you can make your farm.
You
Not
kind
really
of
a farm.
inherit this home from someone, right? You
Yes.
kind of get the okay.
Yeah, so it's an abandoned house that's
Mm.
just kind of there that you yeah. So you're kind of rebuilding it, and they give you a lot of like customization options, and you're able to like
Mhm.
change everything. It's really fun. That's actually a fun aspect of it, being able to like customize stuff. But so you unlock like garden beds, and you can like plant
Hmm.
vegetables and stuff. But then you're also restricted by your quest progress through the main story. So there's not a lot of like land, so you need
Mm.
to unlock more, and so you have to keep going through the story, which is very slow and kind of just like there's nothing that like there's no real inherent like push for you
Mm.
to keep going besides
Mm.
unlocking more stuff. So like the characters like I'm saying like hobbits, there's not a lot going on. Like they're very
Sure.
laid back. There's no tension. There's like okay, cool, whatever. Like that's just how hobbits are. So you're
That doesn't sound like
unlocking
it. That doesn't sound like it makes for a great game to just be cozy.
right. So like you're unlocking things to like
Mm.
dress up or change the furniture in your house. And then there's moments in the quest where you have to like invite people over to your house and you cook. So there's like a cooking mechanic, which is probably the most like in-depth thing in the game. Like however much you chop up a piece of vegetable or meat or whatever determines the texture, and like certain foods need like are better with certain textures. So you're trying to like hit this like mark on this like board
Mhm.
essentially. So it's like, okay, more mushy here, we'll move it over here, and then more chunky, we'll move it over here, and it kind of hits the circle. And you're like, oh, it's a perfect texture. And you make food for people, you eat with them, and then that's just kind of the end of the quest. And then that's
Mhm.
when you unlock something else. So it's like that is, and that is all. And you can also fish. That's it.
Yeah.
So it's like that's it. So it's weird because like on paper this game should work.
Mhm.
Like it should be like kind of like a home run. But the video game part is just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of left to the like is left to the wayside. Like it understands what like this genre is. It vaguely understands it, right?
Mhm.
It's like it looks like it's made by someone who saw someone else play Stardew Valley or something. Like, oh,
Mhm.
like it's not made by someone who is a fan of this genre. And that's
Mhm.
why it's really boring. It's just it's I don't know. It's just not like I'm playing another game for review, a new Story of Seasons game, and it's night and day. Like the the push that you have in
Sure.
Story of Seasons versus the Hobbit game,
Mm.
which like I don't know, it's kind of disappointing, but also like it was kind of doomed to fail from the start because it's like they're hobbits. There's not going to be anything interesting.
Yeah, I think that's maybe the biggest indictment of it is that
Like
they're just kind of cute people, but that's it. They're not interesting. They don't have a they prefer not to have antagonists. They
yeah,
don't get into fights. They just do their chores.
they just do chores and they gossip, and that's kind of it. Like, and that's kind of the point of Lord of the Rings. That's why they chose a hobbit, because they're
Sure.
unassuming and they don't do anything. That's
Mm.
why that's why Gandalf choosing a hobbit is just random as hell, because Sauron's not going to
Sure.
expect a hobbit. They never leave their home. Like they just
Right.
like anyways. Yeah.